Processed foods and health. Processed foods are generally thought to be inferior to unprocessed foods. They may bring to mind packaged food items containing many ingredients, perhaps even artificial colors, flavor, or other chemical additives, often referred to as convenience or repair foods. Processed foods are suggested to be a contributor to the obesity epidemic and rising prevalence of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. However, the definition of processed foods varies widely depending on the sources. The U.S. Department of Agriculture (USDA) defines a processed food as one that has undergone any change of its natural state, that is, any raw agricultural commodity subjected to washing, cleaning, milling, cutting, chopping, heating, pasteurizing, blanching, cooking, canning, freezing, drying, dehydrating, mixing, packing, are the procedures that alter the food from its natural state. The foods may include the addition of other ingredients such as preservatives, flavors, nutrients, and other food additives or substances approved for use in food products such as salt, sugar, and fats. The Institute of Food Technologies includes additional processing terms like storing, filtering, fermenting, adjusting, concentrating, microwaving, and packaging. According to the standards, virtually all foods sold in the supermarket could be classified as processed to some degree because food begins to deteriorate and lose nutrients as soon as it's harvested. Even the athletes in the produce undergo 4 or more processing steps before being sold to the consumer. Thus, why in practice it's helpful to differentiate between the various degrees of food processing. Type of food processing. A popular system to classify processed foods was introduced in 2009, called the NOVA. Classification is list for categories detailing the degree to which a food is processed. Unprocessed or minimally processed foods. Unprocessed foods include the natural edible foods, parts of plants and animals. Minimally processed foods have been slightly altered for the main purpose of preservation, but which do not substantially change the nutritional content of the fruit. Examples include cleaning and removing edible or unwanted parts, grinding, refrigeration, pasteurization, fermentation, freezing, and vacuum packing. It allows the foods to be stored for greater amount of time and remain safe to eat. My fresh fruits, vegetable, grains, nuts, meat, and milk fall into this category. Processed culinary ingredients. Food ingredients derived from a minimally processed foods by pressing, refining, grinding, or mining. They are typically not eaten on their own but used to prepare minimally processed foods. Examples include oil from plants, seeds and nuts, or flour and pastas formed from whole grains. Processed foods. Foods from either of the two previous groups that have added salt, sugar, or fat. Some canned fruits and vegetables, some cheeses, freshly made bread, and canned fish are examples. These foods usually are made from at least 2 to 3 ingredients and can be readily eaten without further preparation. Ultra-processed foods, also commonly referred to as highly processed foods. They are foods from the superior group that go beyond the incorporation of salt, sweetener, or fat to include artificial colors and flavor and preservatives that promote cell stability, preserve texture, and increase palatability. Several processing steps using multiple ingredients comprise the ultra-processed food. It is speculated that the foods are decided to specially increase craving so that people will overeat them and purchase more. They are typically ready to eat with minimal additional preparation. Not all but some of the foods tend to be low in fiber and nutrients. Examples are sugary drinks, cookies, some crackers, chips, and breakfast cereals. Some frozen dinners and nutrient meats. The foods may partially, if not completely, replace minimally processed foods in some people's diets. One study using data from the U.S. National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey found that ultra-processed foods comprise about 60% of total calories in the U.S. diet. An association has been suggested between the increasing sale of ultra-processed foods and the rise in obesity. The NOVA system is recognized by World Health Organization, Food and Agriculture Organization, and the Pan American Health Organization, but not currently in the U.S. by the Food and Drug Administration, or USDA, and NOVA has been criticized for being too general in its classification of certain foods, causing confusion. For example, yogurt may fall into more than one category. Plain yogurt is minimally processed, but fruited yogurt with added sweetener could be labeled either processed or ultra-processed depending on how much sweetener or other chemical additives and incorporate. NOVA also does not provide comprehensive list of specific foods in each category, so the consumer is left to guess where each may fall.